Flash floods are not merely a natural phenomenon, but also a story of loss, sorrow, and the relentless efforts of humanity in the battle against natural disasters. In recent years, flash floods have become a symbol of the uncertainty brought about by climate change. These floods sweep away houses, roads, and crops, leaving behind desolate and barren lands in their wake. On media platforms, images of raging floodwaters destroying everything in their path frequently appear, sending chills down viewers' spines. Yet behind these photos and casualty statistics lie heartbreaking stories. Families torn apart, people losing all their belongings overnight, and communities grappling with food and clean water crises immediately after the disaster. Beyond material destruction, flash floods deeply impact people's mental well-being. The fear of helplessness in the face of nature and the lasting consequences of each flood raise a profound question. Are we truly prepared? The answer lies not only in building flood defenses or improving forecasting systems, but also in raising awareness, educating communities, and fostering solidarity in the face of natural disasters. Flash floods are a natural phenomenon that occurs when heavy rainfall is concentrated over a short period, causing water levels to rise suddenly and move rapidly through lower-lying areas. This phenomenon can result in severe damage to people, property, and the environment. Flash floods are often seen in areas with steep terrain, narrow valleys, or where drainage systems are insufficient to handle the water flow. Below are the key factors contributing to flash floods. Intense rainfall over a short period. This is the direct cause of flash floods. Heavy rain, often resulting from storms, tropical depressions, or high-intensity thunderstorms, falls in a short time, preventing water from infiltrating the soil. This leads to surface runoff, which triggers flash flooding. Steep terrain and narrow valleys. Hilly or steep slope regions often experience concentrated water flow. Water rushing down from higher elevations gathers speed and force, carrying away soil, rocks, trees, and even structures in its path. Human activities, deforestation, construction in low-lying areas, and unsustainable land exploitation significantly increase the risk of flash floods. Climate change. The frequency and intensity of storms and heavy rainfall events have risen notably due to global temperature increases. Human-induced impacts. Uncontrolled construction in areas prone to flash floods. Mining and industrial activities disrupt the natural structure of soil and water flow, altering the natural flow of rivers through dam construction or water diversion projects. Brazil, bridge collapses after heavy rain and flooding. In Brazil, prolonged heavy rainfall has led to severe consequences as a bridge completely collapsed. Video footage captures the horrifying moment when raging floodwaters, laden with debris and rocks, eroded the bridge's pillars and eventually swept the entire structure into the river. The bridge played a crucial role in connecting neighboring areas, serving as a vital route for transportation and commerce for thousands of people daily. However, the extraordinary rainfall exceeded normal thresholds, placing immense pressure on the bridge's foundation and leading to its inevitable collapse. The raging floodwaters powerfully swept away even cars worth thousands of dollars. This is a story filled with sorrow and loss, as the devastating consequences of the flood have taken not only property, but also lives and shattered the hopes of many. The flood swept away homes, fields, and crops, leaving countless families destitute. The grief and despair are evident on the faces of those who face the destruction. Yet, through their pain, they also learn the power of unity and hope, finding the strength to rebuild and start anew. These innocent souls truly have no concept of fear as they boldly step onto this bridge, defying Mother Nature herself. They have never known danger, simply possessing a strong, unshakable trust in what they see and feel. Despite the fragile appearance of the bridge, they walk on with the belief that nothing can stop them. Only children, untouched by the pain of loss, dare to challenge their own limits. UA. Flash floods strike unexpectedly in a desert city. Flash floods that occurred unexpectedly in a desert city in the UA shocked the world as images and videos of the disaster spread across social media. The footage shows raging floodwaters sweeping away dozens of cars, some worth tens of thousands of dollars. The vehicles were swept away as if they were toys, creating a chaotic and terrifying scene in the once peaceful desert. This phenomenon occurred when an unusually heavy rainstorm fell on a region that is typically arid, where annual rainfall is usually very low. In just a few hours, the amount of rain surpassed the average for the entire year, transforming roads and low-lying residential areas into fast-flowing rivers. Although the UAE is known for its modern infrastructure, including advanced drainage systems, the record-breaking rainfall overwhelmed these systems, leaving local authorities unable to respond in time. Homes were swept away in the violent flood, leaving behind an indescribable scene of devastation. The cries of anguish echoed everywhere, persistent and heart-wrenching, embodying the pain of innocent people who lost everything in an instant. They not only lost their homes but also their hope, facing dark days with no place to turn. In those cries, there is sorrow and despair from those whose lives were torn apart by the disaster.
Nah, ini air yang masuk ke dalam kolam.
The cars, unable to escape in time, were swept away and buried in the vast, raging floodwaters. They lie scattered in the middle of the roads, submerged in the fury of nature, like lifeless objects unable to resist. The scene is one of devastation, with vehicles buried beneath the water, leaving only debris and painful memories of a once peaceful time. At the top of the mountain, the floodwaters surged down like an uncontrollable wrath. Mother Nature seemed to be unleashing her fury on this small village, pouring all her violent strength upon it, sweeping away everything in her path. Homes, trees, and even the lives of the most vulnerable were submerged by the raging waters, leaving only piles of rubble in their wake. In a neighborhood of the UAE, thousands of cars were swept away by the floodwaters, as if nature itself was testing humanity. These vehicles, once mere objects, were submerged in the sea of water, now standing as witnesses to the overwhelming power of the disaster. It seemed that each car, each wave, carried a warning, forcing people to confront their helplessness before the boundless strength of nature. As the residents prepared to cross the bridge, it suddenly collapsed, plunging them into a state of panic. The cry of "Oh my God!" rang out in utter despair, as in that moment, everything seemed to crumble before their eyes. Both the bridge and their sense of security were shattered in an instant, leaving only overwhelming fear. These small, helpless people could only look at each other in frantic confusion, unsure of how to escape the imminent danger closing in on them. Ecuador is facing a severe disaster due to relentless, persistent rainfall. To alleviate the pressure, irrigation dams have been forced to continuously release water, resulting in a devastating flood across many regions. The powerful waters have inundated homes, fields, and caused inevitable destruction. The people endure great loss and pain, while the entire community struggles to cope with the escalating disaster. In a highland area of Ecuador, a video captured the sight of fast-moving waters rushing through small channels, sweeping away everything in their path. This was just the first sign before a historic flood would form. The tiny channels could not contain the massive volume of water, causing them to overflow and transform into raging torrents. The warning of the impending disaster was clear as nature began to reveal its power, forcing the community to brace for a devastating flood. The power of the flood is truly terrifying, as it sweeps away everything in its path without hesitation. The raging waters not only destroy homes and bridges, but also claim the lives and belongings of thousands of people. Everything seems small and insignificant before the wrath of nature. What once was a place of residence and livelihood is now reduced to rubble, a living testament to the uncontrollable force of the floodwaters. A house was quickly swept away by the flood, and in the blink of an eye, its sturdy walls vanished amid the raging waters. The entire house, along with everything inside, was carried away like lifeless debris, helpless against the fury of nature. The residents could only watch in fear and despair, as everything they had was suddenly swept away in an instant, drowning in the vast ocean of floodwaters. Other homes shared the same fate, one by one being swept away by the floodwaters, as if nothing could resist the power of nature. Each roof, each wall, no matter how sturdy they once were, could no longer withstand the fury of the water. A cow shared the same fate, swept away by the floodwaters. But fortunately, a brave excavator operator appeared just in time. With quick thinking and courage, he maneuvered the excavator close, using the crane to rescue the cow as it was sinking in the water. In that moment of danger, his dedication and decisiveness saved the cow's life, offering a glimmer of hope amidst the vast sea of water. A testament to kindness and resilience in the most challenging moments. This motorcycle shared the same fate, swept away by the floodwaters just like all the other vehicles. With powerful and wild force, the floodwaters quickly swept away everything in their path. Homes, vehicles, trees, and the belongings of people were all submerged in the raging sea of water. In the blink of an eye, everything turned into debris, mercilessly carried away. Nature's fury allowed nothing to stand in its way, creating a chaotic and devastating scene that humans could not control, left only to watch in helplessness and fear. In Peru, floodwaters surged down from the mountains, quickly submerging an entire neighborhood in a sea of water. A house was completely swept away as the fast-moving waters were too powerful, carrying away all the family's possessions and hope in an instant. This terrifying scene prompted authorities to issue a warning to strengthen floodplain planning in order to minimize damage and protect human lives from the increasingly growing risks posed by natural disasters. A vast field was swept by the floodwaters, and in an instant, all the crops were completely destroyed. The lush green field suddenly turned into a sea of water, with rice, vegetables, and other crops being swept away or submerged in the muddy sludge. All the hard work and care of the farmers vanished in a flash, leaving behind a scene of devastation and immense sorrow. The flood not only destroyed the harvest, but also took away the hope for a bountiful season. On the mountain, the water continued to pour down to the lower areas, forming a powerful flood that swept away everything in its path. The raging waters flowed relentlessly, overflowing streams, surpassing natural barriers, and rising higher, creating an uncontrollable force of nature. Everything below was submerged in the sea of water. Homes, trees, and land were carried away, creating a horrific scene. The flood not only destroyed property, but also threatened the lives of the people in the downstream areas. At the airport, hundreds of flights were canceled due to the flood, making travel chaotic. The airport was now left as a vast pool of water, with planes unable to take off, lying motionless amidst the sea of water. The check-in areas, waiting lounges, and runways were all submerged, causing severe disruptions. Passengers found themselves in a state of confusion, unsure of what to do as all their plans were shattered, while the floodwaters continued to pour in relentlessly. The cars were swept away in the raging waters, a heartbreaking image of the city's residents in despair. The vehicles were submerged, drifting in the flooded streets, helpless as they witnessed the horrific destruction wrought by nature. Shouts for help echoed through the chaotic scene as people stood powerless, watching their belongings being
Ini jembatannya nggak ringan. Di atas jembatan bisa kayak gini. Lo kayak mat.
The floodwaters grew stronger, sweeping away everything in its path, magnifying the pain of the people with each passing moment. As each minute passed, the ferocity of the water intensified, submerging homes, belongings, and the hopes of many families. Despair was visible on every face as they watched the devastating scene, powerless to stop it. The loss was not just material, but also emotional, as the flood seemed to spare no one. The driver of the white car may not have maintained a safe enough distance from the yellow car ahead. When the yellow car slowed down or braked suddenly, the white car couldn't react in time. The race was in its 9th lap out of 15 as the drivers began accelerating to gain an advantage. Then, unexpectedly, oh no, what's happening? Container drivers need specialized training in handling emergency situations. especially when navigating busy roads or challenging conditions. A hasty decision can cost lives. Overtaking must be done in areas with clear visibility, on permitted lanes, and at a reasonable speed.